Hello, I'm Tony Buttle. I'm the farm manager at Harningham Farms in Norfolk. I start every day in the farm office, usually anything from 5:30 to 5:45. I usually like to try and get in the office, check out on the weather, and like most businesses nowadays, check emails as well. We have a 5-day forecast, which is very important to us. Today being Wednesday, we've got cloud with some sunny intervals. Tomorrow, very similar, the same Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The reason we want such a long forecast is because if we pull any land up today for drilling, we want to know that it's not going to get wet, so we can let it dry out a bit. Right, what we're going to do now is going to have a look at a field in a view of drilling this later this morning. We're going to go and have a look and see what we need to do to the field first. This was a field that was vining peas. Vining peas came off in July. It's been ploughed the middle of July, so it's going to be wet. So we'll just have a look and see if we've got to pull the land up and what we've got to do to it. So what we're doing now is basically having a feel of the soil and just seeing how damp it is. It's actually in quite good order. I think we'll be able to leave this alone. We'll come in here straight away with the cultivator drill. The cultivator drill it's been about now for about 6 or 7 years. Quite transformed the way we farm now, because it actually does a little bit of cultivation and drills at the same time. So, like I say, we'll be able to come in here now and drill. Right, we're now at the main grain store. We're here to have a look and see Paul, see how he's getting on with drying the beans. It's been a wet harvest. We're combining beans at the moment at about 28%. We need to dry these down to 14% so we can sell them to the merchant. The beans are wizard, which will hopefully go for human consumption. What happens to those is they get exported to Egypt for Ramadan. What we got here is a moisture meter and a coffee grinder. The reason we have a coffee grinder because that's about the only thing that will mash the beans up enough. What we have here is winter field beans. We're going to put them in the coffee grinder. Make quite a bit of noise here. The reason we grind them up is to get the moisture within the centre of the bean and not just the outside. We now have our moisture meter. %. So these are nice and dry now. We can store these quite safely in the barn until we sell them. Right, this is the grain store now. The wheat comes up through the dresser into the dryer if it's wet, and then comes along this elevator across the top. And what we do is we just slide these slides out. We put a chute on, and then the grain will go into the store. This here is barley. Barley has two main uses, one being for animal feed and the other being malting, which can either be used to produce beer or whiskey if you're in Scotland. This is quite an old-fashioned store. This has probably been here best part of 40 years, and each of these bins holds about 40 tonne. This is the old way of storing the grain, and this is the new. Each one of these stores now is 300 tonnes, and the bigger stores are 350 tonne. We can store wheat, rape, barley and beans in these stores. My responsibilities here as farm manager is we've spent 12 months growing most of these crops. We've now got them harvested. It's now very important that they are stored correctly. We have to monitor moisture you've already seen as they've come into the store. We also have to monitor the temperature within the grain. If the grain gets warm within the bin, we then get all those horrible bugs and insects taken away. So I have to come down here on a regular basis, not just to see Paul and check that everything's all right with him. He's also up here on his own for quite long hours a day. It could be 20 hours a day quite easily. So we have to come up here on health and safety grounds as much as anything else, just to check that he's all right and there's no problems. The reason I enjoy the job so much is being out in the countryside. It's like any job within any industry, you get highs and lows. But the beautiful thing about the farming industry is you can just get out and get away from it all. You can go and walk through fields, etc. You can see barn owls, deer, various other wildlife. You know, it's a beautiful environment to be in, and I cannot see myself stuck in an office for 8-9 hours a day. It's not for me. I like to be outside, and there's nothing quite like getting your hands dirty. And when you go home in the evening, you look back and you've drilled, ploughed a field or harvested, you've actually achieved something at the end of the day. This is a field of oilseed rape that was drilled about 3 weeks ago now. What we do is, or what I have to do as part of my job, is to walk these fields on a regular basis. This time of year, these fields are quite prone to slug damage and also flea beetle. So what we're doing now is we're just going to have a look at this field and see if we can find any slug damage or any flea beetle damage. What we'll do is walk each field at least twice a week, preferably 3 times a week. And what we do is we walk the field in a W pattern. That way we get to see most of the field and any problems within the field. We are there to produce the raw materials. A square metre of wheat on the ground will produce a kilo of wheat. A kilo of wheat is what produces a loaf of bread. I am there to produce that kilo of wheat to the highest quality possible. A square metre of barley will produce 6 bottles of beer. You know, again, I am there to produce the quality within the food chain. We produce the raw materials that the baker, the brewer, could then take on to the next stage. Or on the other hand, we will produce quality wheat, barley, beans, etc., that could then go on to the next farmer to feed his animals, again to produce the quality meat that we need within the supermarkets and the local butchers.